Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Bored and Annoyed. I hear church bells.
Oh boy, I don't know about church bells, but...
Bored and Annoyed.
We'll open with that. I'm
right.
Jackson.
I am home at the movies. This is another episode of Bored and Annoyed. And so Jackson was on vacation this last week. I don't know if you guys noticed. We kind of didn't talk about any current news in the last episode.
That's right.
So Jackson went on vacation with his longtime girlfriend. And what happened on vacation?
I asked her to marry me, and she said no.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. She said yes.
Wow. I guess if I hadn't known that already, that would have worked a little better. But yeah, that is super exciting.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was an exciting moment. It was at the top of the Colosseum in Rome, so that was pretty neat.
That's awesome.
And obviously I did it because I love Russell Crowe.
Right.
And
did you tweet Russell Crowe?
No, I haven't tweeted Russell Crowe. I suppose I should send him and Ridley Scott a tweet, though.
Yeah.
All we needed was somebody like standing there to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down after the question was asked. But yeah, it was neat. That was the good part of the vacation. That was at the beginning. And then I'll get into, since the name of the podcast is Bored and Annoyed.
Right.
The essence of that was on display on the way back. Yeah, but...
Yeah, traveling is a bitch.
Oh, it was a nightmare.
You know what else is a bitch?
What's that?
The new mob mentality that seems to be permeating everything in society.
I'm guessing this is your boy James Gunn being shit canned from Disney.
Yeah, so news is, this is really late, but James Gunn was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Basically, what had happened was he had tweeted some things going back about 9 to 10 years. And a lot of these jokes, they were jokes that he tweeted. And they were offensive jokes.
They weren't funny.
They weren't. That's the biggest problem.
That's the problem.
They weren't funny.
Yeah, you're not a comedian,
right.
Clearly. Maybe you can direct funny scenes, which
right.
is kind of what surprises me about it, because you read them and you're like, God, his movies, the characters are so witty and clever.
Right.
And the dialogue's so good. It's like, come on, James Gunn.
Yeah, you're clearly better than this.
Because I'm a firm believer that, like, as far as jokes are concerned, like stand-up comedy and stuff, that pretty much anything to me is on the table,
right.
as long as the context is there and it's funny.
Right.
So, and even this, I think it's bullshit that 10 years down the road he gets shit canned for something he did. It was related to, it sounds horrible, but like pedophilia jokes.
Yeah, there were. Well, and the worst part is okay, so I'm gonna sort of go through, because there are people who are like, well, he absolutely deserved to be fired, and I have a few reasons why that's not the case. So one thing people say is he deleted something like 10,000 tweets.
Okay.
And they were saying every single one of them was pedophilia or rape related, which is 100% false. Well, because apparently Twitter doesn't allow you to sort of sift through your history in a sort of a comprehensive way. So he just deleted.
You would have to literally, I believe you would have to literally like scroll through. I don't think there's a way to, maybe I'm wrong.
So he literally just deleted like his history almost.
Okay.
So it's not like there were 10,000 pedophilia jokes. I think that's asinine to say that. The image that I see that's propped up, and it's sort of all of his jokes put together on one page. It's about 13 jokes. And some of them, I wouldn't even say are like barely pedophilia related. Like there was one about like my new film, and this is obviously a joke, but my new film, Jerk Loose, where a kid goes to a town where masturbating is illegal, and he jerks off in front of all the other high school kids and shows them how fun it is.
See, what the problem with that is, you say it's obviously a joke.
Yeah.
It's so not funny.
It's not funny at all.
That's the problem. Yeah. It's not funny.
It's just, it's dumb.
Yeah.
But to say that that's even like pedophilia related, I'm like, real? Like,
right.
Really?
That's true. Most of the stuff he wrote was pretty bad. But again, I'm a free speech guy, and if he says something stupid, whatever. I think another issue, it's Disney.
Yeah.
So...
Well, the thing is Alan Horn was the one who sort of released the statement, who's kind of like, he's the next guy down from Bob Iger. And he was the one who said, no, we don't support these. We're shocked by them. And he will no longer have a career with us. And it's like, you were shocked? These are 9 to 10 years old.
Yeah, it's like, where were you when this...
Like, you vet, like, that's a flat out lie. You vet your directors, you vet your actors. That's what happens.
You would think, but I think that we give them more credit than they deserve. I mean, as an example, the Lions in football, we're going to segue to football here for a second. They hired Matt Patricia this year. He was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots.
Okay.
And just a couple months ago, so this is long after he's been vetted, quote unquote, and hired, they find out that he was once indicted for rape over 20 years ago in Texas. The charges were dropped.
Okay.
And the Lions and the Patriots both said they had no idea. Meanwhile, apparently this reporter basically looked it up in one database and found it. So the question becomes, are they full of shit or are they just incompetent?
See, that's... It's like, pick your poison. Which one are you? Are you incompetent?
Right.
Or are you lying? Because you can't be both.
Yep.
But my problem is that these were not like hidden tweets.
No, it's not hidden at all.
And then you go back to, it's not like, okay, one, he hasn't tweeted anything like this in the last 9-10 years.
Sure.
So, I mean, clearly his attitude has changed. He apologized for similar comments in the past. Apparently, he wrote a blog about like 50 superheroes you want to have sex with or something like that.
He sounds like kind of a fucking weirdo.
Yeah,
but,
he sounds like...
But he makes good movies.
Yeah.
It's annoying because that people save this shit and wait. Like somehow someone had these tweets saved. You know what I'm saying? Somebody with like a political agenda.
I was going to say, that's the thing that disturbs me about it, is that it's politically motivated.
It always is. Both sides. It's always politically motivated.
Well, like, okay, so there are people who are like, well, if you're okay with Roseanne having been fired, you should be okay with this. And it's like, well, one, this was 9 years ago. Roseanne did this now.
Yes.
And two, James Gunn apologized, and he apologized before this even came up. So, I mean, it's like... And all Disney had to do was look at his filmography. He worked for, oh God, I forget the name of the studio, but they do those schlocky, violent shock things, like the ones who did like the Toxic Avenger. That was like their studio.
Yeah, sure. Like Canon Films type shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he worked for them and he did like crude humor and shit. Like that's why he got hired for Guardians, because he was weird like that.
We just can't, in this age, Alex, you just can't say anything.
Well, the problem,
you know what I mean?
The problem is that he pissed off the wrong people.
It's true, but I mean that's always the case.
Because he went out and said some anti-Trump things, and then basically a bunch of people sort of got pissed off. Like one of the guys, I don't remember his name, but he was apparently behind the theory of Pizzagate, that Hillary Clinton had Yeah, and he basically sort of coordinated
it, right?
Yeah, and so everybody was just sifting through it, looking for things to get him fired. And it's like, okay, I get that you don't have to like what he said on Twitter about Trump. Like that's totally fine. But to go and try and ruin somebody's career because they say something you disagree with?
I see. For me, part of this is like shoes on the other foot now. This has been happening to people on the other side now for years. At a far higher rate. The PC offending everyone culture thing. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And the other side of this deals with this more often.
Right. I mean,
that's factual.
Right. But what I will say is that the problem is that we're thinking about it in binary political terms.
Correct.
That it's sort of like, oh, it's okay because, well, I'm not saying you're saying it's okay, but there are people online who are saying it's okay because the left is getting a taste of their own medicine. And I'm like, but that's the problem, is that it shouldn't have been happening before. And just because it happened before doesn't excuse this now.
No, that's true. And I I do have that sense of like, okay, well, maybe if both sides feel a little pain of this, it'll settle down. But then again, it's like, well, no one deserves it. So you're not. I'm not. I wish he'd keep his job.
Right.
People should either, and I know Roseanne said something horribly stupid and offensive, and it's like, well, that's what you get. You're a dumbass for saying it. You get canned. But even in that situation, it's like, I would like to hear from the person before I heard they got fired. And in this case, it sounded to me like it was just like, boom, he got shit canned immediately.
He was fired within hours of these tweets being found, and he issued an apology, and he even went out and said, I understand the business decision that was made. And it's like, I understand it too. Disney needs to protect them and their investors. If there was a potential backlash from these tweets and it could affect the box office, I get it. But it's like,
they don't even wait to find out if that's the case,
right?
Though. And the same thing kind of happened with the Talking Dead guy recently, the Chris Hardwick guy, where that ex-girlfriend wrote this article, and he got shit canned from and stuff, and like immediately he got just and now it's like it's all blown over. Nobody's talking about it. Like I've read both sides of this where it's like, well, he probably acted inappropriately, but she also seems to have an axe to grind with him.
Right.
It's like, I don't know what the truth is, but the point is, you shouldn't just fucking fire somebody before you even hear anything they have to say.
Right.
So,
well, and that's my thing. It's like he issued an apology back in 2012. So it's like these were common knowledge. He already apologized for it. He's clearly changed.
Now, has he changed? He's clearly changed in that he doesn't post this shit anymore.
That's what I mean.
Right. He's more intelligent about, I mean, he knows he's working for a corporation. And I don't have a problem. Like I said, I'm not offended by the jokes. I just think they're shitty jokes.
Yeah, they're just bad jokes.
Right. And I mean, it's just, if they were funny, I would be more like, wow, fuck you, Disney.
Yeah.
That's me being biased.
Right.
But since they're not funny, I'm just like, wow, that sucks. I feel bad for you, James Gunn, because these shitty, stupid comments that meant nothing, clearly, got him canned. And he was supposed to be like a big part of this next phase of the MCU, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it bothers me on a bunch of levels. Like you said, sort of the free speech one, the fact that these were already known, the fact that it was politically motivated. And the worst, I think maybe the worst part of it is the fact that it now sets a really dangerous precedent where the second that somebody says something you don't like online, you just go through their history and you basically try and ruin their life.
You could, too, easily.
With, like, so many... Because, I mean, it's like, think about your Facebook or your Twitter or whatever. Yeah. It's like, the things that you've said in the past could come back and haunt you. And
Only every joke I have is hilarious and brilliant, Alex. So
it's just...
It is depressing.
It's just sad. It's just sad.
Well, it makes you feel like nobody should say anything. Yeah.
Well, Michael Rooker, who's been friends with James Gunn for years, he basically went on Twitter and said, fuck all the stupid shit that's going on. I'm done with Twitter. This is dumb. And then the part that makes me laugh is you can follow me on Instagram. And I'm like, but you still have a chance to do something there and get in trouble.
That's funny. Yeah, you can do the same thing.
But I mean, it's somebody leaving. Oh, and I think the best new thing that has come of this is there's a petition to sign James Gunn back as a director.
Okay.
And it's got over 200,000 signatures.
Okay.
And the cast came out and did a full-on letter saying, we want James Gunn back.
Wow.
We don't support his, and it's typed and signed by all of the main Guardians, including like Bradley Cooper, who's like, he probably had very little interaction with James Gunn because he's just doing the voice work. But I don't know. I just find it tremendously upsetting.
Do you think they could even hire him back now, though? I feel like they can't.
I think it's a narrative that you can spin because, I mean, it's about the narrative. Because in their letter, they say he wrote a movie and directed a movie about redemption. Like when Quill says the universe is giving us a chance to give a shit. And, like we're supposed to change. And it's like, we find it really strange that he made this movie about redemption But you're saying that there's no redemption for what he said.
Well, that's just it. Can people just not make a mistake anymore?
That's the worst. That's the worst part. And I think about it in your own life.
Oh, trust me.
I mean, it's like take a mistake you made 10 years ago. Now your employer, say you got hired and your employer knows about that mistake and they hire you anyways, understanding the risk. Then all of a sudden somebody at work says, hey, did you find out about this? And then they fire you about something they already knew about.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like, what details did they? You'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know if they had copies of the tweets.
Right.
I mean, whatever. It sucks that he's not coming back if he's not, because I like those movies, first of all. So,
like I said, I'm upset basically on a principle level about the thing. But also, if I do look at it as just like an instance of the movie, it's like, I don't think there's a single movie series going on currently where the director and the film are so intertwined as far as style and tone that it's like, I feel like if you take him out, it's going to be a completely different movie.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, who directed Infinity War?
The Russo brothers.
All right, so they need to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3 now, because they did a good job with those characters, I thought.
I think I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. But we'll get off that topic. That's
what a light topic to start with.
We're starting it off really dark.
Pedophilia jokes.
It's just, oh man, this one should make you probably not so happy.
Okay.
So that Mowgli tale.
The Mowgli.
The good old Mowgli.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite story. That is no longer being released in theaters. It's now going to be released in Netflix. On Netflix.
So they expect a dud.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to watch it, but I would have liked to have seen it on the big screen.
Right.
Sucks for Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
That's who I feel bad for.
I mean, you kind of look at like Netflix's history with films.
Right.
And it's like, you guys don't put out very good,
I know,
like independent movies.
Right.
I mean, I saw Okja, which is from the same director as Snowpiercer.
I heard that was good. I need to watch that with Tilda Swinton, right?
Yes, that was a really good movie.
Is there another one that you can name that's good? Oh, there was a Paul Rudd one that was pretty good, and I forget the name of it, where he was like a caretaker for like this disabled kid.
Oh, the disabled.
Did you see that one?
I did see that
Yeah,
one.
that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. Yeah, but it seems to be the exception.
Right.
Which reminds me, this is going to be a quick review. It's in the middle of news, but it pertains to this. So Netflix has this new movie starring Michael Pena called Extinction.
And you watched it.
I started watching it.
Uh-oh.
It's really fucking bad. Like, it starts out with this monologue while he's walking in slow motion in a public area, and it's supposed to be like the future.
Sure.
And he's like, do we really know anybody? What about our loving wives? Do we know them? What if something happened that changed everything? This
is how it starts?
This is how it starts.
Oh,
and then he has
God.
like these nightmares, and it's about like alien invasion and stuff. And he seems to be having nightmares about it, but it's just so bad. Like it's if you want to see what a student film, if you want to watch a movie that you would see in like a college class that college kids would make for their peers, this is the movie.
Really?
It's bad.
Sounds like I should watch it just because of how bad it is. Did you watch the one I watched with Forrest Whitaker yet or no?
No.
Okay. Because I'd be interested in seeing how it compares to that. I'm assuming that one's way better.
There is no way it could be as bad as Extinction.
Okay.
The worst thing is that Michael Pena is super likable, but they just make him flat and boring, and everybody's flat and boring, and nobody talks like a human being. It's awful.
All right.
So, check it out. What else do we got? We got some other news. Oh, Fox and Disney news. The shareholders approved the acquisition of Fox from Disney.
Okay.
So apparently there's still some legal stuff that needs to be done, but basically all parties have agreed to it internally.
Okay.
So,
I'm nervous and excited to see how that turns out because it's interesting.
Well, I mean, the thing is like Disney's whatchamacallit streaming service that they're working on, it's probably going to be a must-have because they're going to have like Simpsons and they're going to have like all these Fox properties now.
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, that's all there is to that one.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah. I mean, there's no real news other than that we've known it's happening and it's moving forward.
Right.
That's it. Oh, this one is kind of weird. So Gal Gadot, it's so weird to say it that way.
It is Gadot, though.
Yeah.
I've confirmed that. So there's an asshole out there who corrected me when I said it that way.
And he said no, it's
Gadot.
Gadot.
And if you're listening, you're wrong.
Yeah, prick. But yeah, so Gal Gadot went out and said that Wonder Woman 1984 is not going to be a sequel.
So they're starting the franchise over and it's in 1984? Because that's the only way that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't understand how that's even possible. I mean, is she going to leave her island again?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
I mean, do you think this is tied to sort of the, I'll be kind, the lukewarm response to Justice League?
I mean, who knows? But she clearly doesn't know what she's saying.
Right.
Unless they're like, hey, everything that happened in the last movie didn't happen.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But we're also bringing Chris Pine back, and we're going to do it all over again.
That's dumb.
Yeah. So I don't understand how that even works. But they were saying something about like Patty Jenkins, the director, she didn't want to go through the motions of a sequel. So I don't.
Maybe it's got like maybe she means it has like a totally different tone or something about it. It doesn't feel like a sequel. You know, it's not a continuation of the previous story. Who knows what she means? But.
Right. It just seems like an odd, and it just for it to just sit at it's not a sequel, and that's all she said. It's like, hold on.
Yeah, give a little background.
Yeah, that requires some clarification. But last bit of news before we get into some of the Comic-Con shit that you missed while you were gone.
Yeah.
Luke and Leia are going to be back for episode 9.
I figured that. Or at least I figured Luke was going to be back. Leia, I was questioning how they were going to handle it, but it sounds like he has some footage that he can use.
Yeah, they're going to, yep, unused footage that they're using.
All right.
So, how do you feel about that?
Good. One of them needs to be in it. Or, I mean, I don't know. Like, he can't. If this is supposed to be like the trilogy that ends the Skywalker saga, I'm assuming they meant for Leia to have the biggest role in the third one.
Yep.
Then they needed to do something. I mean, I want to see Luke as a Force ghost because maybe it can wash the bad taste out of my mouth.
I was going to say,
you know what I'm saying?
Nothing that's done in this movie can undo what happened in The Last Jedi.
I can make you feel a little better. Like if Luke just looked at the camera and was like, I know. I was an asshole.
He pulled a Deadpool.
Right. Yeah. Or just a little wink.
Oh my God.
Like something to just.
That's Jurassic World 2 level of bad that I would not want.
Well, it's like, I don't know. Just make him what I wanted him to be in the first place.
Can he do that while he's dead?
Yeah, he can be like Obi-Wan in fucking Empire and Jedi, He can like be like a wise Jedi who is like ready to help people instead of kill his own.
He finds serenity and wisdom in death.
Well, I think he had kind of turned a corner by the end of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
After Yoda talked to him and shit.
Yeah.
Even though that scene doesn't make much sense because he goes there, I think, to like burn down the temple. Yeah. And then like when Yoda burns the temple down by summoning lightning out of the sky, he's like, oh no!
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess we could have a Luke that actually does things now because apparently Force ghosts can now interact with the physical world.
Yeah, I mean, in the last movie, you found out Force ghosts can interact in the physical world, so Obi-Wan could have helped Luke in Empire and Jedi.
Absolutely.
Like,
so Obi-Wan was a lazy piece of shit too.
Yeah, and then you also learned that Jedi they don't even have to physically be somewhere. So a live Jedi can just show up and have whole scenes and everyone can see. And even after the Jedi dies, if they left like a physical item like dice per se, that dice will stay just long enough for another character who's emotionally attached to find them and look at them, and then they'll disappear in their hands. Yeah. All the things we learned in The Last Jedi.
Oh, man, you're making me fall in love all over again. Okay. Oh, Jackson, so did you see the trailers from Comic-Con?
I saw bits and pieces. I watched Red Letter Media did a... I didn't have internet access, really. I had like seconds at a time that I could use. But I did watch this. Red Letter Media did a Half in the Bag episode where they just discussed like 9 trailers that they saw.
Yeah.
And it was pretty goddamn funny. And from what they were saying, most of them weren't very interesting.
Yeah, this was, I'm going to chalk this up to Marvel not being there. They chose not to do Comic-Con this year. Most of them were kind of lackluster trailers, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Let's start with the first one, the one that we both saw before you left, Glass.
And that looks good.
That looks
so yeah. Get the good one out of the way, and we'll just go to shit.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Glass. That's Sam Jackson, James McAvoy,
and Bruce Willis. Unbreakable 3.
Yeah, basically,
we'll yeah.
Kind of nice how every single one of them has a title named after their character, basically.
Yeah, so okay. So there's I mean, the first one kind of is shared between Samuel L. and Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
although I guess Bruce Willis is your main character.
And he is the one who's unbreakable.
So is Glass going to be the main character in this one, would you presume?
I hope so. I think that would be interesting to have a villain be the main character.
Right.
So apparently James McAvoy, who's kind of he's the muscular villain. And Sam Jackson's like the brains.
Classic comic book shit, right? Yep. He's gonna be like, he's gonna recruit James McAvoy to be like his little lackey, his dumb Bebop and Rocksteady. And character.
It's gonna be great because even from it's not really hinted at in the trailer too much, but that's not with the Beast. That's not gonna go over so well because the Beast is not a moron. He's just insane.
True. That's true. And he can touch Samuel L. Jackson and he will be
done.
Yeah.
And there's like nothing. Well, I mean, Sam Jackson's smart, so I'm sure he'd have something.
He'll have, right.
But I'm pretty excited for that. That looks good. Godzilla, King of Monsters.
Yes, I saw a chunk of this one.
Okay.
Creature looks cool.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it looked... okay, one, I like Godzilla. I like the newest movie.
In general, you like Godzilla.
Yeah, in general, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I will say it looks a little dark. Like some of it, I had a hard time sort of telling what was, like, thank God that these monsters glow because like the rest of the scene was just like black and gray.
Well, we'll see. That might just be, I mean, it's the first trailer or first chunk of trailers.
Yep.
It matched the poster, I believe, too, right? The poster was him like breathing the fire breath or whatever, the atomic breath into the air.
He's
I'm always stoked to see giant monsters fighting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they got Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. That hopefully she doesn't die in the first act.
Yeah, let's hope she doesn't die. Is there anybody else in it? I feel like there is, isn't there?
There's that dude from Friday Night Lights, like the coach.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Not the movie, not Billy Bob Thornton.
No.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
I don't know how they're going to, like, I wonder if Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are going to make an appearance. How related is this movie,
It doesn't look like it's very related at all.
Yeah.
Besides Godzilla's there, and you're going to follow a different set of human characters, which Godzilla should be the most important character. So
yes.
That's fine.
And it's nice that they're sort of, in the trailer, they're establishing, like, Monarch is the big secret agency that knows about the monsters and deals with the monsters. It's nice that they're sort of trying to embed that in the public consciousness.
Okay.
Because that's the thing that connects King Kong and Godzilla currently.
The giant King Kong that's only giant because he's going to have to fight Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I'm kind of it feeds that 13-year-old part of your brain.
As long as this movie is its own movie and it's good.
Yeah.
I don't want obvious cash grab bullshit, setup stuff. Like having your King Kong be giant, but it didn't really hurt Kong, I didn't think. I thought it was okay.
The thing that always makes me a little apprehensive about these movies is that, like, the monster stuff can be cool, but if the monsters don't have a personality, it's really hard to get invested in the human characters. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When I came here to see Godzilla and Friends.
Right. You better make your human characters really interesting.
Yeah, like really interesting.
Like you had an interesting character in the first one.
Yeah.
And you killed him like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. And, you know, I went back and I tried to watch it after your comments about how it's good if you need a nap. It's absolutely true.
It really is.
I fell asleep.
Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did. As soon as he dies, there's nothing like to be emotionally invested in the movie.
And there are decent scenes, but the problem is that the characters don't carry you forward with their charisma.
Yeah.
And
like this kind of holding back Godzilla to the end would have been great if you were more invested in what was happening to your characters.
Yeah, absolutely. My man.
Aquaman.
Let's talk about Aquaman.
Yeah, this is another one. I saw a little bit of the trailer. Okay, it looks like Green Lantern in the water to me.
It looks better than Green Lantern looked.
I thought Green Lantern looked good in the trailers.
Okay.
And then I saw the movie, and I was sorely disappointed.
I will say the CGI on it looks a little cartoony. I don't know if it's the color palette or if it's just the CGI.
Did you see that meme where somebody pointed out that on the poster for Aquaman, they used like a Getty Images, like if you Google like shark Getty Images, there's
way.
Yeah, they literally pasted in like a stock shark photograph.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Come on, God. This is a professional poster.
It's a terrible poster. The one where he's like in the middle and there's like sharks and shit all around him. It's awful.
You excited for this movie? You interested at all?
I mean, I'm going to see it, but not really.
I mean, it's James Wan, so
but the thing is, and I'm stealing this from Red Letter Media, but they make a good point. So much of this is going to be like CGI shit.
Yeah.
That it's like
a cartoon.
What vision can he, I mean,
I looked at it and I'm like, it's Thor. And that's one of the things that Red Letter Media said also is it's basically Thor. You got an evil brother and he wants to
see. I didn't see like the plot of the trailer because I didn't watch the trailer but that's the deal. It's the evil brother who wants to. Okay.
He wants to destroy the surface world. Why? Why'd you come on?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
You know what he should do? You know what would be an interesting plot point is like you have the villain be like a Aquaman guy if he's going to try and destroy the surface world. Maybe he wants to like contribute to global warming so that sea levels rise.
Yeah. That would be good.
Is that what he's going to do?
Yeah. Instead of just like, I'm going to make a bunch of waves that destroy the coasts.
Yeah, no, that would be too interesting apparently.
Yeah. I think my problem is that a lot of the dialogue is pretty bad. There's a bit where he's getting teased and they're like, oh, look, it's little Arthur and he thinks he can talk to fish. And then like all the fish show up behind him. And it's just like, that's cliche bully shit. And then like, there's the whole like cliche, like you're a part of two worlds. That's why you'd make a great king.
Oh, Jesus.
Way to go, DC.
All right.
You're 1 for 1 so far. They also had another one, Shazam.
Oh, okay.
With Zachary Levy. I don't
know anything about Shazam.
He's
nothing.
He's a little kid. He meets a wizard. The wizard's like, hey, I'm going to give you superpowers. If you say the word Shazam, you'll turn into Shazam, the big, super strong guy. He's kind of like Superman. That's basically it. And so it's the idea of
it's a little kid in like a badass body.
Adult's body.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of fun.
It sounds kind of fun. It doesn't look very good.
We'll see. I'm going to hold out hopes for Shazam.
I didn't laugh at any of the jokes in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
And the set design, especially like when he goes and he meets the wizard, it looks like a CW show.
Okay.
So
sounds good to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot you like that.
I like those shows. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think you'd be happy to pay $20 to go and see that in a theater.
That's a good point.
And once again, it's got cliche bully shit.
Yeah, of course it does.
Like
just from what you said, it sounds like now it's like, oh, now the bullies can't bully him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has to. Now I'm sure there will be a scene where like he runs into the bullies and like, the tables are turned now.
Yeah.
Right.
And he does a little dance in it. I don't know what kind of dance it is. It's like where you swing your hips from side to side and you make your hands swing.
I know which dance you're talking about.
It looked terrible.
Yeah.
It looked terrible. The suit looks weird too. Like it's very fake. Like the muscles are very fake.
Yeah, but that's purposeful.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when a little kid wears one of those like, like Spider-Man costumes that have like the foam muscles built in. I think that's what they're going for.
It reminds me of Turbo Man.
Turbo Man.
Jingle all the way. Jamie. It's not true. But let's see. You got another trailer. Another shitty trailer. This is the one that set the internet on fire.
With how shitty it was. This is that DC show.
Yeah.
Titans. Yeah, it looked fucking terrible.
It's the dark and gritty version.
Doesn't he say like, fuck you, Batman, or something?
Somebody's like, Batman wouldn't do this. Okay, so it's Robin. And he's fighting some thugs. And then somebody's like, oh, Batman wouldn't do this. And he goes, fuck Batman.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to be dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stabs a dude in the neck, and I can't quite tell because the action is shot so poorly. It's so poorly lit and framed. Either he uses the gun that's in a villain's hand to shoot the other villains, or he grabs the gun himself and shoots them.
Okay.
So Robin's a murderer now, apparently.
Makes sense.
And then you've got Raven, who has the cliche, I have superpowers, but I don't understand how to use them, and it makes me freaked out, and I cry and scream a lot.
Okay.
It looks terrible.
I saw that one. It does look terrible.
Yeah.
I won't be watching that.
It looks like a fan film. It's 100% a fan film. It's like, hey, remember when you were 13 and you wanted to justify like, well, Power Rangers could be cool if it was just dark and gritty and violent.
Yeah, no, that kind of would ruin Power Rangers.
Yeah, we kind of grew out of that phase. Like all like adults. Nope, not these people.
Kind of true of Superman.
Yeah.
I mean,
wouldn't Superman be great if he just hated humans, hated doing his job,
save people,
snapped people's necks, destroyed his 9/11 times 100? Wouldn't that make Superman so much better?
Yeah, apparently not.
Yeah. Well, but that's it for news. That's it.
All right. Well, real quick before movies, I do want to tell this airline story.
Yes. Let's get into real life bored and annoyed.
Yeah. So basically, I was supposed to get on a flight in Athens, Greece at 11:45 a.m. on Saturday. So I'm jet lagged now.
Right.
This is Monday. We're recording this on Monday. So Saturday morning in Athens, Greece, I'm sitting on a plane. Me and the fiance.
Yeah.
Now,
that's weird.
It is fucking weird. It's super hard to like remember. And I hate that word. It's just a cheesy sounding word.
Don't you feel like a pretentious prick?
Fiance. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm sitting there with her, and at about 11:40, like 5 minutes before it's supposed to take off, the plane's boarded, whatever.
Okay.
The captain, all of a sudden, this is not what you want to hear, by the way. You're getting ready for like an 11.5-hour flight.
Okay.
And the captain comes on, well, folks, I've got some bad news. There's a part on the plane that's not repairable, and we need to get parts and blah, 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 blah. Like it's going to be either tonight or tomorrow, so I'm afraid this flight is canceled. So we all have to schlep our shit off the plane, and I'm pissed. At this point, it's like, God damn it, I got to find another way to get to O'Hare.
Right.
Fuck, that's what I'm mad about. So we get our bags, and we're like, okay, we'll just go back to the check-in counter where we checked in. There were like 10 employees there in the morning.
Okay.
We'll just take care of it, figure out how we're going to get home. Maybe we'll stay an extra day. Maybe we'll see Athens a little bit because we didn't get a chance to really sightsee in Athens. We were on a cruise, and we went right from the ship to the airport.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, glass is half full, you know. But no, we get to the airport lobby area and notice there's this giant line already started, and they had 2 employees to reroute an entire international flight, and the plane holds like 250 plus people.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got in line. We were probably like, where we got in line, it was one of those situations where like a half hour later, if you looked back, it was like half the line was behind us, half the line was in front of us. We were probably 50 yards from the counter. So you'd think like, okay, this will take, just a short amount of time.
Yeah.
They'll get people whipped through here. No, it was 2 people working the counter. It took us, we were standing there for 7 hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we were standing there for 7 hours. So by the time we got rerouted flights, and they gave us a hotel stay and shit.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Only a couple people like flipped shit though, which was surprising because I figured that there would have been people up there at the counter just fucking screaming at these airline employees.
Right.
But it was just bizarre. There were 2 people. They didn't call anyone else in.
I feel bad for those 2 people.
Oh, yeah, it was terrible to be them. But the point is, like, that would never happen in Madison or Chicago or something. They'd fucking have,
Right.
Yeah, it was just fucking weird. But yeah, so they rerouted us for a 6 a.m. flight the next day, but we didn't get to the hotel till 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. And I was so, like, wired at that point, I couldn't really, whatever. And the shuttle back to the airport was 2 a.m.
Okay.
So I got 2 hours of sleep. And then had to go back, get on a plane to Paris, and the Paris airport. If any listeners here have ever been through Paris, this was my first time ever in that airport. Fucking nightmare. Just like, it was like put together by sick, sadistic assholes. Like you turn the wrong way and it's like you're fucked. But yeah, you have to stand in like a customs line there for almost 2 hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah, for some people, almost 2 hours. We got through it quicker. But yeah, I mean, it was an hour and 45-minute layover in Paris. So you think like plenty of time.
Right.
We just got to the plane before it took off. So we got back yesterday at 4:07 p.m. We got back to Madison.
Okay.
So I had 2 hours in, I don't know, like 36 to 48 hours of time.
Oh, that's brutal.
It was terrible. I mean, worth it for the trip. The trip was great.
Right.
Got to see Pompeii.
Yeah.
Not quite as good of a movie as Gladiator, but a couple movie places I got to see, It was fun, but yeah, bored and annoyed. And I told someone in the line, because I was wearing an Empire Strikes Back t-shirt. And they're like, oh, yeah, I like that movie. We started talking movies, and I told them about the podcast. And I'm like bored and annoyed. And everybody in line was like, oh, yeah? Like this? We've been standing here for like 7 hours. But yeah, I thought that was a funny little story to share.
It's a great name. It gets people stuck in their head.
Everyone's been bored and annoyed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, that's it. So if we want to review stuff now. Got any what you watch this week? Any weird, random, other than that great Netflix movie that you already mentioned?
No, I didn't really. I was okay. If we're gonna do, I might cut this. This is nowhere near as good of a story as your story. But while you were gone, I downloaded a music creating program.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah.
So you're going to make us a new theme song then?
I was going to do lots of things.
Okay.
There's going to be
I heard was in there.
Well, it was Ableton, I believe is what it's called, Ableton Live.
Okay.
Which is one of the most highly recommended online. So I tried it. All the soundboards are terrible. So it's like you try and come up with a melody. Doesn't matter. Because the synthesizer or the guitar or whatever you're playing it through in the system sounds terrible.
Okay.
So it makes no difference what you're doing. And I had spent days futzing with these oscillators and these synthesizers.
And you just couldn't.
I got to the point where I was like, well, this is okay. It's not great.
No.
It's really not good. And certainly not what I'm aiming for. It just is tolerable.
So was this a trial or did you pay for this?
This was the 30-day trial. So I deleted that.
Oh, you've said fuck it. I'm getting rid of it.
I gave it a full week. I literally gave it a full week.
All right.
And I was like, nope. All right, you know what we'll try next? We'll try the other one that's on the list, FL Studios, because I don't have a Mac.
Okay.
So if I did
maybe
have a
this
Mac,
one will work better.
Well, if I had a Mac, I would get Logic Pro X, which is just...
That's the one everybody uses.
It's my brother has it. It's fucking phenomenal. It's just so intuitive for anything you want to do.
So you're just trying to find a program that's comparable to that you can get on Windows.
Yeah. And so I got FL Studios, and it's okay. It's better than the last one, but just to spend like over a week messing around with a program and have nothing to show for it is really infuriating.
Sounds frustrating.
It's not even annoyed. It's just I went.
You want to
past,
throw your shit into
I was
a
so
fucking
pissed.
wall. Yeah, I've been there.
But yeah, that was my little thing that I did, and I didn't really watch a whole lot.
I can tell you, I was on long flights.
Yeah.
So I got to watch a few movies.
Yeah.
That I hadn't seen.
Okay.
The first one I watched was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I had not seen that movie.
Henry Cavill.
People had told me to see it.
Yeah.
I'll start by saying, like, I'm not a huge Guy Ritchie fan.
Right.
Like, I don't think that he's fucking great.
He's a little, I guess, try hard would be the term.
He's out there. He's wacky.
He tries to be clever.
This might be my favorite Guy Ritchie movie. And I know, like, people like Snatch and, that type shit, but I think this one, I really liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I liked it when I saw it, I don't know, probably about 2 years ago or so. Yeah, it's fun.
It's really fun. And I when it was over, because it kind of has a bit of a cliffhanger ending, or not a cliffhanger, but this is a franchise starter.
Yeah.
I said to myself, like, fuck, I want them to make more of these. So I Googled it. And as recent, I believe, as last year, they're still talking about doing a sequel to it.
I hope they do.
I hope they do. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was pretty good. There were a few lines of dialogue where I was like, well, that's not great.
Well, the three characters, so it's Armie Hammer, Henry Cavill, and Alicia Vikanders, who I didn't even know was in the movie until I started.
Oh, man, I forgot that she was even in it.
But the three of them, like, their chemistry, really good.
Yeah.
So, and like the banter between the American and the Russian.
Yep.
I thought it was good. So I'd highly recommend that one. I watched The Death of Stalin.
Whoa.
Have you heard of this?
Nope.
It's a comedy.
Oh, okay.
It's fucking, you gotta watch it.
Okay.
It's got Steve Buscemi and, the transparent guy from Arrested Development, George Sr.
Ah, yes.
He's in it. Jason Isaacs, do you know who that is?
Sounds familiar.
He was in a show called Brotherhood. He was also Lucius Malfoy in Harry Potter.
Got it.
He's in it. That one was a high recommendation.
Really? Okay.
Really, really fucking good. I liked it a lot. It also has any Homeland people out there. It's got Quinn in it. So yeah, that's good. And it's got the chick who was in one of the Bond movies, Olga Kurylenko. She was also in Oblivion with Tom Cruise. That chick's in it.
Okay.
So yeah, highly recommend that. Basically, it's Stalin dies, and it's all these like Russian, real people they were actual people, but they're all like kind of angling for power after the death of Stalin.
Okay.
And it's fucking hilarious. The third one I watched.
Jesus.
Yeah. The third
one.
one.
You're on vacation.
That's working on the plane.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
The third one I watched was The Darkest Hour, the Winston Churchill movie with
Oldman.
Gary Oldman, yeah. And wow, like really good if you're into that sort of thing, and the performance is great, but it's kind of like the Lincoln movie where it basically it focuses on one aspect of Winston Churchill. And basically the movie's about people who wanted him to try and sign a treaty with Germany, like who wanted peace with Germany. And he was like, basically like, no, you can't sign a peace treaty with this fucking psychopath, and insisted on fighting an unwinnable fight because at that point in the war, they were getting their asses kicked.
Right.
But yeah, it really makes Winston Churchill out to be like the most important person during that time period, because had they have caved, then, Western Europe would have been, then the Nazis would have had Western Europe completely.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it was good. And he is fucking always good.
Yep.
Do I think his performance is better than he was in like The Professional? No.
I was going to say, like, is this Oscar worthy? He won an Oscar.
It's Oscar bait.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I got from the trailers.
He deserves an Oscar, I guess, but
maybe not for this
movie.
movie.
That's like Del Toro, Guillermo Del Toro.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, Pan's Labyrinth is better than fucking The Shape of Water, which is also good, really good.
Right.
but I'm not going to get upset that he won an Oscar for
Right.
The Shape of Water.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So. But I mean, the idea that like I would imagine most people you ask, like, what's a better movie, The Shape of Water or Pan's Labyrinth? You know, most people are going to say Pan's Labyrinth.
And they're both good movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
but yeah, Guillermo's just the shit.
Yeah.
So when he wins one, I'm not going to be.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
And just with Gary Oldman, same thing.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. See anything else?
No.
Wait, you did watch a little anime I
did. I
recommended.
watched an episode of Death Note.
Yes.
So, neat premise.
Yeah,
Basically, he finds, and it's been, 10 days now since I watched it, so you can help me out here, but he finds like a journal where if he writes down a person's name and he writes down how they died, it will happen.
Yeah, they
like
will die.
instantaneously,
Yep.
basically.
Yep.
Or
Well,
if he doesn't write down a cause of death, then they have a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he basically, right off the bat, like he gets this thing and he decides like, I'm going to be like the savior of the world. And I'm going to write down all these like dictators and fucking monsters' names.
Yeah. Like something that I think most people would probably do.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah, well, fuck Osama bin Laden when he was alive. Fuck these dictators.
And I haven't gotten far enough yet to see, and I am going to continue to watch it because it intrigued me.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten far enough to see like, obviously he'll learn a lesson in this. I would assume that this is going to backfire. I mean, I forgot what the guy said. Like already he basically said like, you can't go to heaven or something.
Yeah.
Because you did have this, whatever.
You don't go to heaven or hell.
Right,
You basically just go to where, because
and that's where the monster guy is or whatever, right?
Yeah. So what it is the notebooks belong to, because anime is Japanese. Japanese folklore believes in things called shinigami, which are basically demons of death. They write in their little notebook when you're going to die. And when they write in their notebook, the remaining life that you had left, which implies that there's destiny, that you were supposed to live to a certain time. But when they cut that prematurely, that life gets added onto the extension of their life.
Okay.
Which is why they do what they do.
Got it. All right.
And the kid that gets the things that I find, it's the details that I find really interesting. Like, yeah, the overall premise is pretty good, but the idea of like this like valedictorian straight A high school kid.
Yeah, that's what was interesting too, is he kind of was like a goody two shoes kind of guy.
Yeah. Like he's like a captain of the tennis team or some shit. And I don't know if it's in the first episode, but you find out that his father is the chief of police.
No, I don't think that was there.
Okay.
But yeah, don't spoil it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch
that's
it.
all I'm gonna
The
leave.
one negative I will say is that it just got too cheesy anime, too Japanese for me for a minute.
Okay.
There's a scene where like they show him writing all the names. And they like film it like it's like
it's
it's
extreme.
shown in like an action.
Yeah.
Like when he uses the pen, it's like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
every time he writes it, and they show like they have like music playing in the
Right.
background and shit.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It's extreme.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something where if I watched more of the genre, I would start to like kind of.
You'd be okay with it.
Right, but watch like it's so jarring.
It is jarring.
because it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Not to say anything negative about Japanese culture, but it's kind of like the Isle of Dogs conversation we had,
Right.
Where it's just like it's fucking. There's some weird stuff.
Yes, there's weird stuff, and it's just a cultural thing. I personally liked that they do that because it's like he is doing something extreme, and that
That's
he's
true.
literally killing people.
Yeah, but I mean, would you really?
I think
You'd be like.
oh, not. I wouldn't do it that way. It's a cartoon. They have to
it's
exaggerate.
like they
it.
have like oh god, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it reminded me of like a cutscene from like the original like Ninja Gaiden or something on Nintendo. Like,
Right.
Like the sword slashes through somebody and
Yeah.
like, there's like a star like yellow like
Yep.
ching,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And this is him writing in a notebook.
Which I'm like, I get why they did it because it's like otherwise it's just like the most mundane shot of a dude just writing names.
That's true.
You know, like they tried
and
to
then
make
they
it as exciting as possible.
Between the shings, they've got the guys like
oh
dying
yeah,
and shit.
they intercut it with all the deaths.
So
which
yeah,
is,
I mean, I was enjoying what I watched. I did not hate it. I will admit that.
Okay, there you go. It's not Pokemon.
No.
But yeah, we should get to our main event, which is Mission Impossible. Forget the subtitle.
Mission Impossible Fallout.
There it is.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it.
Yeah. So general thoughts.
I haven't felt as engaged and on the edge of my seat with like nail biting action as I haven't felt this way since Mad Max Fury Road, I'll say.
Okay.
And I think overall, this doesn't mean I think it's better. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this more than that.
Wow.
This is the best Mission Impossible movie.
Okay.
And I'm a James Bond guy.
Right.
So I've been watching. I love these Mission Impossible movies. Like now they've just keep getting better. Like these last three, Ghost Protocol, and then there was Rogue Nation, and now there's Fallout. These three are the best, in my opinion. I think that this franchise is stronger than Bond now.
I could see that.
And do I think this is better than, say, Skyfall? Is it a better film? No,
but the action is
but it's more fun. Yeah, it's amazing.
The action is vastly superior to
I was like
just about anything.
Well, and even the way between the action and this, when there's like an exposition dump happening or something, so many like the camera is always like you're always moving.
It's doing something.
Yes. And it's very exciting to watch. I was extremely satisfied with this movie, and I was really excited for it. Mm-hmm. So it way exceeded my expectations.
So my general thoughts are a little more subdued.
Oh, they always are.
Yeah,
Alex.
well, not always. But I thought it was a good movie. I think the action is what elevates it. But my problems are just sort of the problems that I have with the Mission Impossible series in general. But I would say my favorite of the series is Ghost Protocol.
Okay, so you think Ghost Protocol is better than this?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't even know if that's necessarily true. I just remember when I walk out of a Mission Impossible movie, I have a really hard time remembering the plot come like a week later because they're all just Ethan Hunt goes rogue. Oh, can't trust anything.
I would say the most memorable plot so far was the original with like the knock list and so many weird, because it was so fucking intricate, and like the first time you saw it, it was hard to follow.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. I agree. I agree completely. So, but that one, when I left, I felt the most entertained, and I felt like the most satisfied sort of with the story in general.
Sure.
This one sort of has my same problem, which is like Ethan Hunt is the only one who is really developed in any sort of way as far as the characters. Now, that doesn't mean they're not enjoyable characters, but they're just like, I'm a tech guy and I'm kind of nerdy. I'm a tech guy and I'm kind of like gruff or whatever, you know?
Sure.
And it's like, that's fine. And I know I'm here for the action, but it'd be nice if there was a little more going on to get me emotionally invested.
So this one, to me, had me the most emotionally invested that I've been in any of the Mission Impossible movies. Yes, because, and I know in 3, they set up the marriage thing. He got married, whatever. But they bring that one back in this.
Yeah.
Again, I think she's popped up in pretty much every one in like scene.
She'll be in Ghost like Protocol for a scene.
Yeah. But in this one, they have like they kind of do more with that because there's another woman that he had a romance with in the last movie.
Yep.
And they kind of have like Ving Rhames is there to kind of, I mean, it's all about Ethan Hunt.
Yeah. It feels like a vanity project.
Which is fun. Yeah, it does. I know. And we've talked about this before with The Rock and Rampage and shit. But what's funny is Ethan Hunt as a character is not, he's kind of just there for action. He's not
an interesting character.
He doesn't have like a personality like Ving Rhames or Simon Pegg do.
Right. Which is why I say the action is what makes these movies. Right. And I would say the music in this one was spectacular.
Oh yeah, it was the whole time I was like pumped. That's what's always elevated James Bond for me, is like Bond, I know it's a stand, I mean it's been the same for years, 25 movies.
Yep.
26 if you count the fake James Bond movie
Right,
with Sean
right.
Connery.
Yep.
But he's got like more of a character.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Especially with, like, I'd say the Daniel Craig ones really gave him character arcs.
Yeah, right.
And growth.
Well, and even before that, he was the cartoony, like, ladies' man guy.
Yes,
He had,
yes.
like, you know.
Like here, Ethan Hunt is just, like, bland mission man.
But he's fucking good. He's good.
He's good.
He's good. Yeah.
But the action is, like, I'll go back to it. The action, the cinematography, and the music elevate what could have been I think a ho-hum movie, or maybe by the books movie. They elevate kind of a standard script, I feel.
They make, well, yeah, see, that's just, I mean, the guy who directed it, Christopher McQuarrie, also wrote the script. Okay. So what I'm picturing is, he's got to be one of those, like, you know, Frank Miller or George, what's his name? George Miller or Frank Miller that did Mad Max? George Miller. Frank Miller, I believe, is the comic book artist, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, so he's like, to me, he's like on that level, because
Yeah.
I'm sitting here watching the movie and I'm like, how the fuck did he even like come up with some of this shit? Like during the chase scenes, the way they're going down alleys. And what impresses me most about it is the fact that it's never so chaotic that you don't know what's happening.
Yes.
Every character, you know what's going on, you know what their goal is. Everything's clear.
Yep.
I didn't have that like shaky cam feeling once in the movie.
It was all very purposeful. It almost didn't, I don't even know if they had any handheld camera shit.
No, it felt like it was like helicopters and fucking, you know,
but was still framed really well.
Framed beautifully. I was, oh my God, I was blown away that the chase scene in Paris, like with they're in the truck.
That's the best part. My opinion, that's
your
the
favorite
best
action
part of the
scene
movie.
Yeah, it's good. And then,
you're like, oh, is it over? Nope. It's not fucking. He just got in a car instead of a motorcycle.
No, and it doesn't get old
either,
because it's just fucking some of the shit you're seeing, and you know it's like it's not CGI.
Yeah,
you know, towards the end there's a bit of fakey.
Yeah,
you know
what I will say about the action bits is like they do this really smart thing, which is there's something usually in some of the bigger ones, like the helicopter one, which is not a spoiler. You've seen it in the trailers.
Yeah, correct.
There's always something that's small that plays an intricate part in the action scene.
Sure.
And he makes sure to set that up earlier in the scene.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Every time, because it's not just there. There was one in the motorcycle one. I just can't remember what it was. But it's like they do that the fight scene in the bathroom. There was also something that was small they made sure you saw that cutaway to that thing.
Yep.
So that you understood the situation.
This will play it.
This is important.
Well, and it was funny because when that one happened, the bathroom scene.
Yes.
Maybe we should wait for spoilers, but I will say when that one happened, I actually had the thought of like, oh God, you know that feeling when like if you're watching a horror movie and like they think they killed the Jason or whatever, and she drops the knife to go like hug her kid, and you're like, fuck her.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you're invested typically. Yep. It's because you're like, oh, you know what I mean? You're upset. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Well, see, I thought you were going to go a different way, which is like, oh, I know how this is going to play out now, which is like, goes to my other point, which is this movie should have just been called Mission Impossible Switcheroo, because there are lots of switchity switches going on.
Some switcheroos. Some are easier to see than others.
Yeah, there's a big one in it, and I saw that coming a mile away, and so did you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me too much.
And I think the thing about that twist, and I don't want to give too much away, but the big one, they sort of get it out of the way a little earlier in the movie rather than waiting for the climax.
It's not some stupid thing that you're aware of that's hung over the main characters that they aren't aware of. You know what I'm saying?
They do enough to set it up so that you could probably predict it even if you're not as well versed in movies as we are. So because of that, they're like, well, we know that you're onto this, so we're not going to drag this out any longer.
Yep.
And that was really...
Well, the payoff was great. The payoff scene was great for that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I I have little nitpicks
Let's
that go.
hear his nitpicks.
Well, do you want to do the plot? Because I can't remember much of it.
Yeah, sure. Basically, I'm just going to do the basic plot. I'm going to save the little side plots and shit.
Yeah.
Because there's a few of them.
Yep.
You know, like any spy thriller kind of.
Yeah.
But no, the basic plot is the movie opens with Ethan and the IMF boys are trying to get some plutonium. There's like 3 things of plutonium that they need to intercept before the villainous syndicate can get a hold of them. And they're doing an operation. They're posing as like buyers.
Yep.
And things go awry and they lose the plutonium to the syndicate.
Yep.
So the movie is getting the plutonium back.
And
that is like basically the movie.
And then the other wrinkle is that the CIA does not trust IMF.
Correct. So they stick Henry Cavill's character in to kind of play babysitter.
Yes.
For Ethan, because Ethan's,
he's so rogue.
Yeah. He's always going, outside the lines.
So, you want to get into spoilers? I think you loved it.
I loved it.
I thought it was pretty good.
Okay. So here's how much I loved it. My favorite movie of the year, I think, is still Hereditary.
Wow.
This is the best movie of the year. Favorite
okay.
and best are different.
Okay.
But if you're talking about flaws that I could find in this movie,
okay,
it's almost perfect to me. It's if you're going to see an action movie, if you're in the mood, you know what these fucking Tom Cruise action flicks are, you will be satisfied by this movie. I can 100% guarantee it. 100%.
I would say if you're just going for action, you will be more than satisfied. If you're hoping that the movie has a little bit more than just action and good music and good acting, you might be left a little wanting.
See, and I was worried, like that's why it has always kind of made them lag behind Bond. But on this one, I thought there was enough of like an emotional center to it with the ex-wife character and all that stuff, where I was pretty satisfied with it overall.
Okay,
it's my favorite Tom Cruise vehicle ever.
Ooh, that's a topic for a day.
Yeah, and I like Tom Cruise shit.
God, I'm trying to think. I can't. Okay.
I mean, there's like Edge of Tomorrow, like all that stuff.
I'm gonna have to think on that. That one requires a little bit of thought. But
you like Risky Business better?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's a big
Top Gun.
All Risky Business has is a Tangerine Dreams soundtrack.
Well, what about Cocktail? You did discuss Cocktail.
Oh fucking hell! We're gonna build a bar. And then I slept with your girl.
One of my personal favorites is Days of Thunder. I mean,
Days of Thunder.
He goes back. You can go back a ways.
Yeah, you can.
As far as like your.
I still like Interview with the Vampire.
And what's funny is Tom Cruise basically, except for Interview with the Vampire, he basically plays the same character in all these movies.
He does. Which is sort of my gripe with Tom Cruise in general. It's like I wish that you would get off brand a little bit, man.
He was really good. Like when he was younger in the one with Dustin Hoffman, where Dustin Hoffman's
Rain Man.
Rain Man. Yeah, Tom Cruise is great in that.
That might be my favorite Tom Cruise vehicle.
Yeah, well,
that's
not a Tom Cruise vehicle.
Yeah,
though. That's like a real movie.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Now we're getting into semantics about.
It can't be a Tom Cruise vehicle when the star performance in it is clearly Dustin Hoffman.
But is he? Okay, that's the star performance. Jesus Christ, we should get back to the fucking movie.
There's no vehicle there.
But Tom Cruise is the main character. He's the one who has the arc. He's your protagonist.
I mean, they both are main characters.
I suppose.
The movie's named Rain Man.
Yeah. But it's about what Rain Man does to,
Spoilers.
Yeah, let's get into spoilers. So, I'm going to get into one of my nitpicks right away, which is, I don't know how much of this is a nitpick and really just, I don't know, just not good. But his big thing in the movie is that so they're like, oh, well, you would not kill Ving Rhames for to get the plutonium. You will not sacrifice one life for the potential millions. That's the central theme of the movie.
It's one of them, yes, correct.
I'd say it's the main one.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I'd say that that could be fine, but they don't really play it up in a big way to make it seem like a huge flaw. Like, essentially boiled down to its simplest form, Tom Cruise is too much of a good guy, and that's why that's his character flaw, is he's too good.
Well,
and that's
I don't think they play it as a flaw, though.
No, they play it as a good thing.
It's a good thing.
And it's like, by that measure, he has no arc. But in relation to the main theme, he has no arc in relation to the main. He has an arc in that he sort of gets over his situation with his old ex-wife.
Yeah, that would be so most of the like character work I felt like related to that. Yeah. More than it did like the main plot.
And that came in really late in the movie.
Right.
And so that's sort of my point, is like, nah, you didn't. And I'm not trying to convince you to not like the movie, because I know that's impossible. I'm just trying to say when I walked away with it, I was like, that's kind of lame that you're too good. Like,
yeah, I mean, your look is, to me, see, this isn't a movie I'm analyzing to that degree. I'm just going in like, okay, I want a fun, like, immersive, I want an interesting storyline. I thought that was there.
Yes.
I think this was the strongest villain in the Mission Impossible series thus far.
You mean Henry Cavill?
Yes, yes. I thought he was a good villain.
He was a good villain.
Ethan met his match.
So
you know what I'm saying?
He was the guy who was what they called a lark, who was he was a
lark.
He was basically like an anarchist that was working from within the CIA to work with like the syndicate and all this shit to cause mayhem. Correct. Basically, they wanted to kill like a third of the world, essentially.
Yeah, the plot is basically that these guys think what's his like saying? He says something along the lines of like the greater the chaos, the greater the peace, or whatever, something like that.
That's what it was.
So basically, they're trying to kill a ton of people.
Yeah,
you know, just some mad terrorist.
Basically, try and unite everybody through tragedy.
Yep.
And like, I got it, and I will say the plot twists were pretty good, but we did see
the main one.
We saw the main one coming, which was Henry Cavill as Lark.
You know what's odd about that too is I feel like I was almost expecting one of those where like, oh, we're gonna make them think they have this twist. Right. You know what I mean? Like the double twist.
Yes.
You know, but I feel like there's a scene in particular between Henry Cavill and Angela Bassett.
Right.
Where that's when I was like, oh.
It's 100%.
And I was honestly, okay, so here's my one nitpick with the whole fucking movie.
Okay.
Is that I think it kind of exposed Henry Cavill as being a little bit of a bad actor.
Oh, I don't think he's bad.
Well, he was pretty bad at the beginning of this. Just the wooden dialogue, it reminded me of some of his Superman scenes. And maybe it's not his fault.
I was going to say that. It felt like the direction, because Angela Bassett was not good in those scenes either.
But again, is Angela Bassett very good, period?
I think she's really good in Black Panther. I mean, that's the one that comes to mind like most recently. Like, I mean, with what she's given in Black Panther, she's not given much.
She's given, but that movie, it's like some of that stuff, like the stuff that's happening in Africa with the family and stuff, is just so over the top, like
it's melodramatic.
Right, it's super melodramatic.
Yeah.
And this one, it was almost like Ethan Hunt is blah blah blah. Like, and here's where I can overlook this.
Okay.
It's just an exposition thing.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this movie is the action.
Right.
And all the action is set up perfectly.
Yeah.
There's nothing missing. There's nothing.
Holy shit.
There's no action scene where I'm sitting there like, well, wait a minute. What the fuck is going on here? Like, you know, and the thing is usually like the action scenes, like even Mad Max, you're only having to concentrate on what's going on, like, in that group that's having the car chase or whatever. But in this movie, there's like Ving Rhames and what's his name, Simon Pegg are on a boat doing this other thing.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is on a fucking motorcycle doing this thing. And they all have to get to a certain place. And like, you don't really know where they're going to end up. And there's a payoff.
Yes.
Like when they do get there, or at the end of the movie, there's this helicopter chase. And during that, there's like a countdown thing happening, which I think might have been in real time, by the way.
I was hoping so, because I was thinking, I was like, is this 15 minutes? It could be 15 minutes. We're getting really close to the 15-minute area.
It felt like it was 15 minutes.
That would be amazing.
I think... because I was sitting there like, oh, great. This is either going to be one of those things where it's like, it's been 5 minutes and,
Yeah.
you know. But no, I mean, it seemed to me like, you know, he's chasing after, basically, okay, the end of the movie, hopefully you've seen it if you're still listening. But at the end of the movie, there's the part where basically there's 2 bombs and there's a detonator. And Henry Cavill takes off with the detonator. And in order to disarm the bombs, Ethan has to take the thing out of the detonator.
Yes.
And at the same time, or I don't know if it has to be at the exact same time, but while the countdown is happening, they need to cut the wires. If you don't do it that way, they'll explode.
Yep.
You can't disarm one of the bombs without the other one exploding.
Yes.
So there's a 15-minute countdown, and basically like they keep showing the clock, and it felt completely like it was 15 fucking minutes,
Right.
which I appreciated. And just shit like that. Like, that's such a Mission Impossible thing.
Yes.
And it's done so well. And there's so much tension.
I'm going to come back to that. I want to kind of go chronologically through the movie and talk about some of the great things and some of the bits that I was like, well, that's a little lacking.
Well, how about we start with just the whole ruse they pulled on the nuclear guy. And the name of the movie is Fallout.
They brought the masks back.
Right.
And so they play this trick on this guy that they capture at the beginning, and he's like, "How long have I been here?" He's like, "Well, that was 2 weeks ago or whatever."
Yeah.
And they create this thing that you're like, the Vatican was blown up, Mecca was blown up, and Jerusalem
or something. Yeah.
were blown up by 3 nukes. And he's like, "Oh wow, we did it." This terrorist is like, "Whoa, we did the thing," and they got Wolf Blitzer on TV like doing the whole thing, and then. Tom Cruise is like, let's beat him up. And Ving Rhames is like, that's not our style, man. And that's a terrible Ving Rhames. But anyways, basically...
it wasn't that bad. It's kind of how he does it.
And basically they needed to get into his phone to like get in contact with this Lark guy or whatever. And he's like, I'll give you the code if they say our manifesto on the air. And he's like, okay, so they finally do it, and Wolf Blitzer says the manifesto, and he gives them the passcode. Boom. All the walls fall away. Wolf Blitzer's like, do we get it? Did we get it? Okay, we got it. Turns out it's Simon Pegg in a fucking mask. It's awesome. It's awesome.
See, and that's just it. This movie to me is filled with shit like that where you're like, wow, that was cool.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like, it's a total man movie, like fucking cool shit left and right.
I should have seen it coming because they have established the masks in the series.
Right.
But it was like, oh, wow. Like, they have fundamentally changed like the Mission Impossible universe, like the Vatican was attacked, Jerusalem was attacked.
No,
like,
I
was like, they called it Fallout.
Yes.
So it's like, holy fuck.
So the plot involves like nuclear fallout.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was sitting there like, okay, well, wait a minute. He's on TV. What are they lying about here? Like, how are they tricking this guy?
Right.
And like, that didn't even come to mind that, like, did they somehow get CNN to like air this bullshit?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now he's reading the manifesto.
I was like, how did he get the manifesto so quickly? And I was like, and in the moment, you're just like, well, this is just dumb movies being dumb movies.
Right. Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, wait.
There's like a real explanation for this.
So that was great. That was really good.
It was.
Then there's that sort of scene that we were talking about with Angela Bassett and Henry Cavill showing up when Tom Cruise is trying to get on the chopper to go and find where Lark is. Not a great scene, like you said, but you're able to deal with it because it's like it gets us to the action.
You get some plot points, right?
Yeah. Liked the interactions between Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise on the plane.
Okay, so here's where this is part of my Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill in the first quarter of this movie is my only problem with this movie.
Okay.
Because I was sitting there like, we get it. I get this. I've seen this before.
I will say that.
It's not being done in any sort of an interesting way. And there's a lot of things in this we've seen before that are just done so well that it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like we've all seen car chases.
Yeah.
There's fist fights in this.
Yep.
They're all fucking like, I think you could say they're some of the best iterations of what they're trying to be.
100% agree.
Yeah, well, and even like
the action scenes. I'm not going to agree with like some of the plot.
No. I'm saying
before,
like the set pieces.
Yes, yes.
And like just the things. There's a lot of cliches in this.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
but when you do it right, it doesn't matter. There's a reason why there's cliches.
Yeah,
and it's because they work and they're used over and over.
Right.
And when they're good enough, you don't care.
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? And this movie is a good example of that.
It's sort of what I said about like Ant-Man 1, which is like, yes, it's a tried and true formula. It's basically Iron Man with a shrinking suit, but yeah.
Right.
If it's done well, it's done well.
It doesn't matter. So yeah, so there I was sitting there like, okay, this is
But I did enjoy it because it was kind of like the buddy cop bit where you're like, oh, they have different styles and they don't like each other.
That's true. I mean,
which is why when he's found out to be Lark, it's a little like, oh man, but I wanted to have Henry Cavill part of the regular crew.
The crew.
Yeah, I was like, this could have been good.
But he was really good as the bad guy too.
He was.
I thought. Like that's when he got good to me.
You know what was weird though was like, okay, so he didn't know how to. He's like fumbling with the suit as they're flying in a helicopter.
Sure,
they're gonna do like a halo
airplane.
Jump. Oh yeah, sorry.
I mean
airplane.
they're way up.
They're way up,
and that's another one. We've seen that now.
Yep.
We saw it in Godzilla. We saw it in Transformers 3.
Shot
and it was
really
fucking
well.
Awesome in this.
I think it was all one take. I think.
I would have to see it again. See, I was just so...
Because they jump out of the...
Well, they know, because they have a side take. They show him from behind jump out, and then they have like a side take where the lightning strikes.
Yeah.
And it fucks with their... Oh, God, it was so good.
But that was the weird bit where it's like, okay, so he's never really jumped out of a plane before. Like, it seemed like he hadn't.
Right.
And he just does it. Even though, like, Ethan's like, hey, this is like a crazy storm, man. Like, maybe don't. And he's like, fuck you, pulls out the air tube. And you're like, what a prick.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not sure if this dude is, like, redeemable. Like, that was really
very
bad.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
And then, he just jumps out like he clearly has no fucking clue what I'm just such a badass.
Yeah, and he gets struck by lightning, and he's okay?
Well, so I don't think he got struck. Maybe it was like a concussive thing.
Right. And I was willing to forgive that.
Right.
Because
this movie has a lot of outlandishness.
Yes.
But the fact that it feels real is amazing.
So most of it. Yeah. So he eventually has to save him, and that was a great scene when they're falling. And it was like, wow, this is just like a simple little like falling out of a plane scene, but you did, like you said, did it really well. So I was really invested in what was going on. And then they sort of ended in an interesting way where he gets like, caught on like the top of that spire or whatever.
Yep.
That was good. And then they go into the club, and techno music wasn't terrible.
No, it was good.
Like
the whole scene was great.
I was like, sometimes they go to these clubs and this techno is just like some of the worst techno you've ever heard. I was like, hey, they got some decent techno.
It wasn't quite the John Wick 1 club scene techno.
No, but it was still pretty good.
But you're about to go into what's crazy is like, you just watch like this intense action scene.
Yeah.
And they're going, and this is like a laid back portion where you're like relaxing and they're like looking on their phones for this Lark guy and then within like 3 minutes they're in this bathroom like you just got out of this like fucking crazy thing and this was when I was like, wow, this movie is really pushing it.
It's fast.
Yes
it's really I will say general thought for me, and I know Jackson doesn't agree, but general thought was that it was really fast for the first 2 acts, and the third one tried to be fast, and it was fast, but because it relied a little bit more on emotional stuff that hadn't been set up earlier, it didn't hit as fast with me.
See, I liked that though. See, I was a fan of that. Like that was when I was like, oh, this one's really being elevated above the previous installments, is because I actually kind of care what's happening here with these 2 ladies that Ethan is involved in,
right?
With involved,
and we'll get into how that's a little bit of a vanity project thing. But so they get into that bathroom fight.
Oh my god!
And you know what I love about that is I love so many things about that. I'm a big fight scene dude. Like fight scenes are my shit.
Like hand-to-hand combat.
Hand-to-hand combat is some of the coolest shit if done well. And so they find this Asian guy in the bathroom. and he's supposed to be Lark. And they just go at it with this dude. Like he tries to take him out with like the needle that's going to knock him out right away.
Yep.
So he can take his face and go to the meeting to the supplier that he's supposed to go to.
Right.
Dude's not having it. Then Henry Cavill, which is one of the other things where you're like, I see where this is going. He smashes him over the head with the computer that's needed to create the mask.
Yes.
And so you're like, okay, but the fact that one, it's just one dude and not 10 dudes in the bathroom that they're fighting is amazing. And two, the fact that the dude can take on both of them at the same time and he's actually winning.
And he's like a decoy.
And he's a decoy. like it's like, holy fucking shit. Like, this is like, we're talking about switcheroos. That's a switcheroo.
No, I thought he was Lark for sure when he was like big of a badass.
Right.
I mean, that was my thought.
There are multiple.
I didn't think Cavill was Lark necessarily. Right. I just thought, like, okay, he's in cahoots with someone.
That's
you know
sort of where I was at that point. And then there was that scene with Angela Bassett later where I was like, okay, it's absolutely 100% him.
Well, yeah, when they started really talking about, you know, like, when they really started getting into the fact that that wasn't Lark in the bathroom and shit. I was pretty convinced.
Yeah, but the fact that they all had vastly different fighting styles.
No, and that was neat, and it made me think of something you said, how you learn about a character just by watching how they fight. Right. And they all did. I mean, like, Tom Cruise is kind of just like I need to do whatever it takes. Yep. I'm just going to fucking charge at this guy. Yep. Like, you know what I mean? And then Cavill's like the brute.
He's like an old, you know what he's like? He's like that bit from Family Guy where like eggs and steak and steak.
He's like
an
old school.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like a 1920s bodybuilder.
Right.
And he's like a boxer too. He's
a boxer. Yeah. It reminded me of like if anybody's ever seen Russell Crowe, Cinderella Man.
Yeah.
Like, that's the era of boxer.
Absolutely.
Or like a character that would have been in like Punch-Out on Nintendo.
Yep.
You know, and they have that scene where it's in the trailer where he's just kind of like, you know, getting, and I'm doing it right now, but you guys can't see me. But
I love that bit where he punches like his arms out to like free up like his elbows and shit. Oh, so good. So, and then even that bit sort of tells you about him. Like, he's just kind of like, all right, so this is how I'm coming in. He has no finesse whatsoever.
No, he's just a badass. Right.
And then the dude that they're fighting is just like the greatest fucking martial artist ever.
Yeah, he whoops some ass.
Oh my God.
And there's like, you know, fucking Tom Cruise is tackling dude through a wall, and then all of a sudden dude pulls Cavill pulls the pipe out from beneath the sink.
Yes.
It's fucking great.
Holy shit. And then eventually he gets the gun, which is what I was saying was the bit that was thrown off to the side. The gun was thrown off to the side.
Yes. And you immediately went, okay, I've noted that gun.
Yep.
Who's gonna fuck? But like, that was the horror movie analogy. Where I was like, you son of a bitch, how do you drop the gun?
God, what is it called? Chekhov's gun. It's like a term in writing, Chekhov's gun, which is if you introduce a gun, okay, if there's a house and you're doing your story and in the house there's a gun on the wall, by the third act, that gun has to go off.
Okay.
You can't not put something in like that. And that's what it is it's Chekhov's gun. You know that has to be important. They showed it to you for a reason.
It's good screenwriting.
Yes.
It's very obviously set up.
But it was great because, like, we were talking about switcheroos, so he wasn't Lark. It wasn't 10 dudes on one.
Yep.
It wasn't the fact that they kicked his ass. He kicked their ass. And the fact that the gun did come into play, but it actually never went off.
Right. No, it just was like a thing that they were reaching towards.
There's a bajillion switcheroos in there where you're
and then a character not involved in the fight shows up and ends the fight.
Switcheroo.
Yeah.
I mean,
And by the way, Rebecca Ferguson plays that character. She's really good. Yeah. I like her a lot.
So they go and they meet the White Widow at this club.
Which is another thing. Here we go. So you've transitioned from like
an amazing
intense,
like
fall down or the skydiving scene, straight into the bathroom, and then you have like a 1 minute like, okay, here's what we're gonna do, and then they're off doing another thing.
Yes,
so it's like boom, 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 like 3 action set pieces, just
like in super quick succession, and so they get and then there's an action scene when they meet the White Widow.
Yeah, right.
So
Well, and that's a very well done. Like that felt like a James Bondish scene when he went in.
Her introduction.
Yes.
Because she talks in a very different sort of, I forget, I don't know how to describe it. She's very aloof and vague and sort of, she doesn't really seem to care, the White Widow.
Right.
And we're talking about just quick things like character design and stuff. This I thought was really interesting. So her hair is really funky. And I thought this actress did a great job up until the point where the script let her down a little bit. Her introduction is great. She's wearing a backless dress. And I don't know if you noticed this, but she doesn't have that sort of anorexic back where you can see the spine and the ribs and shit.
Sure.
She's got a muscular back. And I was like, right there, I learned something about this character that didn't need to be conveyed in a different way. Like, she is a badass.
Well,
and she's cocky with the way that she talks.
Yes.
She's arrogant as fuck. She's in the middle of the room. She's the only one in white in this entire room, but she's also competent.
She was good.
I thought she was really interesting and weird.
And I don't know if you picked up on this, but there was a little lore in that scene because she's talking about Max, and Max was the one who had the knock list. In the first Mission Impossible, she was like the British woman that he met up in the hotel room and shit. And that's Max's daughter.
Oh, okay.
So that was, for me, like being a fan of the series, that was neat.
That's good.
You know, it was a neat little Easter egg that wasn't
I didn't need to know that.
And it doesn't matter. Exactly. That's the point.
Because it still made sense within the movie.
Right.
But the thing is, like, that just goes back to my whole thing about I forget Mission Impossible movies a week after I see them.
Yeah, and that one was a long time ago. But no, I caught that because it was just, I was like, oh, that's neat.
And then she's got the knife in her garter. That was great.
But it's not like, it doesn't matter to the, like you said, like it doesn't matter if you don't remember that or you haven't seen that. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Which is how it should be done. Whereas a lot of this stuff in like Rogue One for Star Wars or like a lot of this like nostalgia bait shit, which is all this is.
Yes.
A lot of it's dependent on you having seen shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So.
And then they go to the mansion and they sort of establish like, oh, I don't have the plutonium. I'm just a broker or a supplier or whatever. I just connect the people.
Right.
And then they do one of the coolest things in this movie, which is they basically are like, well, you have to break out the villain from the previous movie. Right? Was he the villain?
Yeah, he was the villain in the last one.
And so they
the anarchist or whatever.
And that's how your supplier is going to give you the plutonium.
Correct.
Is if you break this guy out. And they're like, how are we going to do that? Well, there's an armored convoy and we're going to kill everyone. And then the movie just makes you think that they cut to the next day. And there's no sound. And it's just music. And it's
Tom Cruise is killing a bunch of cops.
Well, he kills just one.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Everybody else, because he clearly...
their team is shooting people.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. And there's only one cop that's left, and Tom Cruise has to be the one to shoot because everybody's watching him, and he's supposed to be Lark now.
Yes.
He's supposed to be a monster. And then it's fake. Switcheroo! Like, I was like, yeah!
It was really well done because, like...
It was tragic.
If I remember correctly, and I just saw it, so hopefully I do, like, you didn't hear the villains telling, like, him what to do. You just saw it, and then they cut to Tom Cruise, and he was like, you want me to kill everyone?
Yeah.
And you were like, wow, that's an interesting exposition dump. Like,
yes.
That's an interesting way to describe, like, you know, and a lot of this movie that you're describing scene by scene here, this is why I think this movie is so exceptional, because everything is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Everything is cool as hell.
That was a just genius decision, like you said, of an exposition dump.
Right.
This is how we want you to do it.
Yes.
But also it got right to the theme of, will he kill a single person?
Correct.
To save millions. And we already know that he won't. So that was great to see that in that scene. Then he goes and he does, like, basically we skip to that where he's actually going to do it.
And that fucking, that's like a 10-minute action scene.
That's more than 10 minutes.
It's fucking great.
I swear to God, that's like a half an hour action scene.
So basically they're setting it up like the guy's being transported by the French government or whatever, and they need to like break into the convoy and get him blow
out.
up the convoy, get the bad guy out. So the way they do this is they plan to like run him off the road into this like river because there's like water there.
Yep.
And when they do it, there's a shot like when he's in this truck, he's in the water, the bad guy or the guy who they need to break out, and the water's rushing in the car, and the camera stays like stationary with the guy on the left hand side sitting up on the side, and you just see the water come in, but the way the water is flowing into the van, it changes.
Like it's like a wall of water that is right in front of him, but because the truck is turning, it's moving in different ways. So his feet will be soaked, and then his face, and then whoom, like his whole face, and he's all submerged.
Great,
amazing shot, shot, and the whole scene. He gets on the bike, fucking great. There's that girl who I forget what the actress's name.
The chick who Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson. She's on the bike.
The Never Enough singer in The Greatest Showman.
Oh, okay.
Hugh Jackman did not leave his wife for Rebecca Ferguson. He preferred Michelle Williams.
That's right.
Rebecca Ferguson.
So Rebecca Ferguson is sort of following, and it's nice because you've got like it's Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, and that's one side, and then you've got the White Widow's people, and that's another side, and then you've got the police, and that's one side, and then you got Rebecca Ferguson, and she's
doing her own
thing on the bike with the black everything. And there was this amazing shot where she goes in between these pillars and she's just flying down like this little it's just an amazing shot because they go right in on the helmet and you see all the pillars going
it's insane.
And
the sound of the fucking crotch rocket,
fucking hell, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what else was great in that scene was another part I really loved was when Henry Cavill is in the car with Tom Cruise, like this truck, and they have it planned out so that they're gonna like drive through this alleyway, to escape.
Yep.
And like and they fucking drive through, and the alleyway gets skinnier and skinnier. They're getting chased, and they've got it all set up so like the alley will be just too skinny for them to get through, which creates a barrier between the people chasing them, and they'll kick out the windshield and hop out the front, and they've got two motorcycles there.
Yep.
I mean, all of it was just fucking like, I mean, it's something you would set up like with action figures as a kid, only you would never be smart enough to come up with some of the shit that they were coming up with.
And then the thing that like absolutely solidified that Henry Cavill was the bad guy, because at that point he had handed over the telephone from the fake Lark from the bathroom to Angela Bassett and was like, oh, hey, Tom Cruise is totally the Lark. He's trying to frame Tom Cruise.
Right, which...
That was the scene where I was like, well, it's got to be him. Like, but I wasn't 100% sure because I was like, well, this movie has done enough switcheroos already.
Well, it was one of those things where it's like, is this a double switcheroo?
Right.
Where it's too obvious?
And then when Tom Cruise's bike doesn't go, but Henry Cavill's does, I was like, I got a feeling he tampered with one of the bikes. There's a reason he went to the one that actually went. So that was when I was like, it's him. It's fucking him. But anyways, he gets on the bike, fucking amazing scene. Literally one of the greatest. I love the fact that he keeps on going down streets and then like the camera will pan to one side and you see the cops coming and then pan to the other side, cops coming, and just boom, and then he goes. It's just fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's great that Tom Cruise does his own stunts and shit too, because it's I don't know, some of the stunt work in this and just how real it all looks.
Yeah,
I mean, it's more impressive than like fight choreography to me. The shit that they have going on with him, like different cars weaving it. I mean, it's all timed out perfectly. Yeah. I was really, really fucking impressed.
Yeah,
with that scene was fantastic.
I think it's one of the best motorcycle chase scenes of all time, and it's probably one of the best car chase scenes of all time when he finally gets in the car.
Well, it's funny because it's like, this movie has every type of like action scene.
Yes,
you have like a air vehicle chase. You've got cars, motorcycles, on foot chases.
I don't know what you do, and I guess that's what these people get hired to do, is to come up with scripts for the next one, but I don't know what you do after this one. Like stunt wise.
I thought the same thing.
Like holy shit.
He did some crazy shit in the last two too, though.
Yeah.
He did like the plane scene in the last one where he like hung on to the side of the plane.
Yeah, that was
shit.
Crazy, but it wasn't as impressive as watching like this. And he did that awesome scene where he was climbing the building, and that visually was fucking amazing.
In Ghost Protocol,
that was amazing visually, but it wasn't as like thrilling
intense
as these.
And thrilling, right?
And when I was watching the whole like Paris sequence, I was like, this is the best Dark Knight imitation I've ever seen.
I was sitting there saying like, wow, I haven't really felt this like, and I thought of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't really felt this like, like exhilarated by like something like this since the Dark Knight.
Yeah, because it's the convoy. It just brings it all back.
Right.
It's the convoy. It's the chase.
It's cliche shit,
and it's
like
the
we were
music.
talking about.
The music really gets very Hans Zimmery, and not in a bad way, just in like a holy.
Usually Hans Zimmery is a good thing. I would say.
As somebody who's been a fan for a long time, I feel like he's been not putting out his greatest work recently.
Well, Dunkirk. I know you didn't like that.
He's just like blong.
It's great.
Tick 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 blong.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Fantastic.
That's
Love
all
it.
it is.
Love it.
Come
on. You like that Man of Steel score, and that repeats constantly.
Was so fucking good. But that's melodic. That has a
As
melody.
is the Gladiator score.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
anyways.
Yeah.
Moving on.
What else from there?
Let's just get to the reveal of the
reveal.
twist.
Yeah.
So basically, we've got the guy from the convoy, and they're setting it up so that what's his name? I keep forgetting his goddamn name. Shaun of the Dead. He's gonna
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, so they've got him set up to go get the plutonium as the villain from the previous movie, and they take him out. You think it's Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, we forgot too that what's his name shows up. His boss,
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin shows up, and he's like, "You're Lark," because all that information
Right.
got to him. Tom Cruise knocks him out with like one of those knockout.
Yeah, they set it up so that like basically you think that everyone else on the team or whatever, or there's reason that Alec Baldwin needs Tom Cruise to just come in because whatever.
Yep.
And they've got Henry Cavill like thinking the same thing, like, oh, good, I got him.
Yeah.
Like he is Lark, whatever.
Yep.
And then basically they set it up so that Henry Cavill goes and like reveals himself as the bad guy because he thinks he's talking to the guy they got out of the convoy.
Yep.
And he omits a bunch of information.
Yep. He's like, "Why are you making this so difficult?"
Yeah, not omits, the opposite of omits. But he basically tells the guy like, why are you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, oh, we got you, motherfucker.
Yep.
And that was like instantly the same scene that it was revealed to the audience that he was the bad guy.
Yep.
Okay, we're done with it. He's the bad guy now.
Yep.
And the main characters know he's the bad guy.
Yep.
So yeah, the rest of the movie plays out
kind of, I would say, a little standard from there on out. I will say about that one scene, though, we're going to sort of wind this down because we're going a little long here. But that scene, there was one bit that I had a little bit of a nitpick with, which I was not sure about the logic of the fact that he reveals himself, which is fine. And his boss is like, okay, cool. We thought it was you, so we sent a SWAT team to capture you. But then he had the foresight to know that he would reveal himself and then to have people in the SWAT team that would turn on the SWAT team. Like, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, how did he know that that was going to happen?
I think
and
he
if he
had
did,
a
it was
crew,
no.
I think he just had a crew ready.
But how would he know that they would be the ones deployed? You know what I mean?
They're in London.
I suppose.
They're part of the CIA. It's not really a random SWAT team. It's some CIA group,
I suppose, but I mean, it's like, how did he know that, like, Angela? I mean, I'm assuming, wouldn't they just send them over from the U.S.? I don't know much about CIA, so I don't know if there are like CIA
I'm assuming
agents
that
in London.
You probably know who's who's in the area. Like, yeah, I'm sure there's CIA in London.
Okay.
I would assume. But either way,
right. That was a little part that sort of. I was like, well, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
But it took me out of the movie. But I was like, once again, I was like, I'm willing to suspend it because whatever.
Oh yeah. So from there you go into another like the foot chase scene.
I've never seen a man running be shot in such an exciting way.
It was great. The whole like him going. Well, I was thinking about the Casino Royale when I was.
I was going to say, well, and then I thought about Winter Soldier on the
that was
boat
good too. But the first scene in Casino Royale, the parkour thing, where like the one guy's like fucking just acrobat. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But in this one, it is pretty neat, and there's some funny stuff in it.
Yeah.
Where like he's in the office building, and all the workers are like.
That was great.
What are you doing? You know.
Yep.
And yeah, he's getting led by whatever, but he catches them, and basically this is when it's introduced that like the ex-wife is in danger now.
Yes. That was interesting. And that was also where I was like, oh, this is getting a little stock. Because I was like, oh, the kidnapped wife or the whatever. Like we've been here before.
Yeah, we have, and that was my worry too, is because in the theater, the people in front of me, which one girl was really annoying, and she pulled out her phone a few times and looked at it right in front of me. But fucking the wife thing, I'm like, okay, we just need to be done with this character.
Yeah.
But then when they introduced it, and then they kind of had the Rebecca Ferguson thing where Ving Rhames kind of like
tells the story about how great a guy Ethan Hunt is.
Exactly, and he is a great guy.
He's just a great guy.
He's just perfect action man.
That's his flaw. He's too perfect.
But I appreciated that because it made me feel like, okay, the character has a little bit of emotional investment for me now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I liked that they did that.
I get the purpose of it. I just felt like it was a little too late in the movie for me to really feel it.
Okay.
And this is just a gripe about the Mission Impossible movie. I have like 2 or 3 gripes, which is Ethan never really changes or grows throughout the series. He's just Ethan, and here's his new mission, and this is what he does.
No, it's just like James Bond prior to Daniel Craig.
Right. And that's fine if that's all you want, but I'm like, for a series, I'd like to see some growth in the character. Like, that would be nice. Because it keeps it fresh, I feel like, from an emotional standpoint.
I don't know, though. I feel like this is an episodic thing. It's supposed to be, it's based on an old TV show where it's like, every movie starts with your mission if you choose to accept it. It's kind of...
But it's the same thing with TV shows, too. I like shows where a character grows and changes throughout the show. I don't like them to be the same character throughout the whole thing. I don't want them to not learn lessons.
The new TV. You like the new TV. You don't like the old TV as much.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, you know...
Unless it's like a sitcom where it's just played for comedy. For whatever reason, I can deal with it with comedy.
Sure.
So that's my bit. And then the whole, like, Ving Rhames, like, you know, saying something. It's like, Ving Rhames, I don't know anything about you. Like, what's your favorite sandwich? Like, you know, I wish I knew something. Like, they're all charismatic actors. You know, they're all likable
as fuck.
But I wish I knew something about them. I just know that they like Ethan and that they're tech people. Like, that's literally all I know.
I mean, Ving Rhames, like in the first one, you might have known a little bit more about him. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that I don't know, but I feel like I know him. Especially, like Ving Rhames especially. Because he's been in like all these fucking movies now.
Right.
You know? And he's just great. I like Ving Rhames a lot.
I kind of wish Jeremy Renner had been in this.
I thought about that. I missed Jeremy Renner. I did.
Because that's the other thing, too, is I'm like, it's always, and that was the nice thing about this one, is that it was nice to have Tom Cruise have a partner in Henry Cavill, so he's not doing all the action shit, just him.
Correct.
Though there was a lot of bits where it was kind of just him.
Yeah, well, he's the action man.
He's action man.
They're gonna disarm the bombs.
Yeah.
And he's gonna go do the action thing.
Yep.
And go save. But hey, so the ex-wife gets pulled in.
Yeah.
Whatever. The bad guys end up at this like medical camp place.
Yeah, they're like getting fresh water to this village.
In Kashmir or something.
Kashmir.
Yeah.
I love Kashmir.
Well, he goes out there and the ex-wife works there.
Yep.
And I thought it was a great scene when she runs into him.
Yeah.
Because she knows what he does.
Yep.
And she knows immediately, like, fuck. And then the husband shows up, and I'm almost thinking, like, is there something fishy about this husband?
Yep, I kept waiting for it.
Right, especially because of the actor who played him, too.
Yeah, he's the douchebag from
Hunger Games.
He also played the villain Ghost Rider.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a deep cut right there.
He was also in American Beauty.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. I
good
like
actor,
that.
actually, yeah.
I like him. But anyways, yeah, there's a scene where basically like they're just communicating to each other basically through code right in front of this husband.
Yep.
That like, yeah, shit's fucked. I got to go deal with this and save everybody.
Yeah, I love the fact that the second that the husband leaves and he's like, well, I'll give you guys a little bit of chance to catch up. He just like, he doesn't do like the kiss you. He doesn't do like, I missed you.
No.
He just like pulls her in and like gives her like this really intimate, like face to face kind of like hug. And I was like, oh, that feels real.
Yeah, and he says,
me.
I'm sorry. And then he runs.
And he just
takes off.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this.
Exactly. And we as the audience didn't have time for it because we get it. Right,
exactly. And what proceeds from there is a 15-minute countdown where while the Ving Rhames,
Rebecca Ferguson and Simon
and
Pegg,
the ex-wife shows up to help Ving Rhames.
Which is nice that she had something to do. It's also nice that they gave the techies something to do. I'm being sarcastic. I found that a little like, you guys do the thing where you sit in a spot.
I thought they were. I was like on the edge of my seat.
I knew that they needed something to do, but it's like you were saying, it's cliches.
Right.
Bomb diffusion.
That's just it, though, is like, it was well done cliche.
I thought it was fine. I didn't think of it like it wasn't
great.
poorly done.
I was like on the edge of my seat, like fucking, because I think part of the reason I was like that was because I was feeling the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then like there's a scene after like he chases Henry Cavill and go see this in IMAX, folks, by the way, because it's fucking the actual helicopter chase is all filmed in IMAX. It looks great, but he's chasing Henry Cavill, and there's that neat other part that you mentioned where like they establish that there's this payload that one of the helicopters is carrying.
Yep.
And Tom Cruise.
Oh, that wasn't even the bit I was talking about.
But that's another one.
But that's another one.
Yeah. So he climbs up and he tries to drop it on Henry Cavill. It doesn't work.
That was where there was a bit where he's like, hang on to this for me for a second. And I was like, no.
Well, it's Mission Impossible. We got the cheesy lines. We have a my man in this. My man.
Why?
It was a lot better than the Aquaman one, but it's hero worship. It's Ethan Hunt worship.
It is. It is.
But no, what was the one you were talking about in that scene?
So basically, Tom Cruise has to crash the helicopter into the other helicopter.
Sure. Yes.
And that's how he has to take it down to try and get the detonator.
Yep.
And as that happens, they start going down like a cliffside.
Okay.
And they set it up really early, so they start falling down a cliffside. Yes, the hook.
Yep.
So Tom Cruise is in the upper one, and they're both sliding sort of vertically down this. It's basically just a straight 90-degree down.
It looks awesome.
And they're trapped in between like this part, so both of the helicopters are sort of slowly sliding down this thing. And Henry Cavill just looks at him. He's like, "Why won't you die?" And that's a great bit. But they set up this hook that one of them has. And eventually the hook grabs onto, they get on another cliff, and it hooks onto a little piece of rock. And that's the only thing that's holding it there. And, eventually it's the thing that eventually ends up killing Henry Cavill.
That was great.
Yeah.
That hook to the face. Well, because when he got burned, I'm thinking like, they're setting him up as like this villain who's going to be like who's going to be like the two-faced burned villain.
Yep.
Which I was instantly like, ooh, I'm excited for the next one.
Yep.
Oh, wait, never mind. He takes a hook to the face and he falls down a cliff.
And
if
there
he
is
lived,
some blood.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, there's no way he's alive. He's so fucking
But yeah,
dead.
that helicopter chase though, like when he tries to like drop this payload on top of I thought it was really clever.
Yeah.
This is the one part where I was like, no, they're both dead. When they crashed, his plan is to crash two helicopters.
Yep.
Like, no, you're both fucking dead. But the crash like led to such a cool place with like the little rock chasm you're talking about where they're like fighting back and forth and the detonator thing is happening, and it's like, it's cliche. There's the thing that the two guys need to get. It happened already in this movie when the two people were fighting over the gun.
Yep.
It's a very cliche thing, but I was on the edge of my seat when goddamn well that the fucking detonator is not going to fall off the side of the cliff and everybody's going to die.
Well, that was
but
why,
when it got close to the cliff, I was like, Like, oh, it almost fell off. Oh my God. And that's like a sign that I'm into the fucking movie. So,
Right.
so to me, this movie was immaculate.
That was where when it got too close. So I was sitting next to an asshole in this movie. One, I show up, and this old fuck is sitting in my seat, and he's
boy.
like, I'm like, I believe you're in my seat. He goes, oh, what number is it? Motherfucker, you
Yeah.
didn't buy a ticket. You're not supposed to be in here, are you? And he's like, well, I guess I'll sit over here. And he moves to the seat right next to me. And throughout the whole movie, he's one of these goddamn mouth breathers.
I hate that shit.
And then every time something happens, he goes, oh yeah, like that. When the thing went over to
Yeah.
the edge, he goes, oh yeah, like he's like, I know what's going on. This is
Meanwhile,
stupid.
like you're trying to get that like upward momentum of like the excitement and
Yeah.
shit. And when somebody does something like that, it just brings it right down.
Yeah, and I'm just, and then the other thing that happened in my screen, this is all next to the movie, the people were just like stomping up and down the stairs.
That's annoying.
And I'm like,
well, in that theater, like they're like hollow.
Yes.
It's like a wooden hollow ramp up to get to
Yeah.
the seat. Yeah, it's very loud when people don't walk normal.
yeah, it's like, dude, tow it.
Yeah.
That's what you do in public when you're in a quiet space. Tow it.
Yeah. When they renovated, they just used like hollow wood.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of that though, back on the seat topic, today when I went and saw the movie, I wanted to be kind of in the middle. I went by myself. So I left a 2-seat cushion between
no.
me and the people next to me.
Okay.
People bought those 2 seats.
Of course.
And it was like a fucking almost empty theater.
Of course.
It's like, Jesus Christ. Do you people like think with any sort of like, I'm like, oh yeah, if I buy this 2-seat cushion, like I won't be so close to a person I don't know. Like I've
Yep.
got the mouth breathing factor taken
Yep.
care of. If they're mouth breathers, I'll barely hear them or won't hear them at
Yep.
all.
Yep.
No, I can't have that extra gap because some jackass has to go buy those 2 seats.
Were they people who like seemed like maybe they were looking for some, like physical contact, like they hadn't talked to somebody in a
weird.
while?
Yeah, that's what's weird. It's like a duo of people. I would never dream of doing that. But I ended up not sitting in that seat because of that. So I would have been the jackass had you have shown up. Hey, I have J12. And I would have had to scoot over a seat.
I tried to be nice to him, but I'm like,
It is annoying.
Fuck.
Well, I almost told the girl in front of me, like, can you not look at your phone?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like,
but yeah, I mean, it was overall really pretty good. Oh, the end when Tom Cruise gets saved by the helicopters, and it's kind of like the Lord of the Rings, like it fades to white,
Yeah.
and the eagles show up, and you're
And
like,
then he's in the bed, like
and he's in the
Frodo.
bed. And I was like, okay.
I liked it. You had both of the female characters showed up, and I bought the 2 interactions that he had, the interaction with the ex-wife
Right.
and then the interaction with,
Right.
there was no like cattiness between the 2 women. So
I bought it. Like, it wasn't like it was bad. It was just that it was so stock. I will say the thing about the ending of the movie is that the movie up to this point has been kind of amazing in my estimation. And then the reveal of like, we have your wife, or we know
Yeah,
where
sure.
your wife is, that I was like, okay, well, that's a little stock. And then it became stock in that it's just the bomb diffusion. I was like, there have been so many switcheroos in this movie that to just sort of stop having the switcheroos felt very jarring for it to just go back to straight sort of just
so
a
you
straight
wanted
action.
like a final switcheroo.
Yeah, I wanted a couple more switcheroos because I was really enjoying it. Like,
It is a
would've-
very engaging movie in that way, where
Yeah.
it's like you're sitting there. It's almost like a math problem, where it's
Yeah.
like there's going to be some sort of. It's almost like a heist movie. There's
Yeah.
going to be an action scene that's going to play out.
Yep.
Here's how it's supposed to play out.
Yep.
And as the audience member, like you're get strapped in for the ride for the next action scene.
Yep.
What is going to happen here that's going to make it not go the way that it's
Yes,
supposed to go?
exactly.
And then at the end, to your point, it kind of plays out exactly as you know it's going to.
Exactly, and that was my problem with the
That
ending.
didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But again, I understand what you're saying.
Like, it would have been amazing if like the whole trying to get the plutonium was really just a ruse, and really it was just to get Ethan in a spot or something,
The most giant switcheroo.
Yeah, just
they're just filled with like they're just balls of shit. They're not actually plutonium.
Yes, yeah.
John Voight shows up just like from the original Mission Impossible.
Oh my God. Yeah, just yeah. That was I think that was my bit. But yeah, I mean that took it down from one of the it's still one of the better movies of the year, but I wouldn't call it like one of the best.
I think it's the best at what it's trying to do. Although I thought that movie we reviewed a couple weeks ago, Leave No Trace, as far as what was that was trying to do, was very good as well.
Right.
Well, they're both.
You just love movies so much that almost every time you see like a really good one, you're like, this is the best one I've seen in a while.
Yeah, no, there's been 3 good ones in the last month.
Yeah.
And that, or 2 months, and that's
we haven't even seen Sorry to Bother You.
I mean, to me, Hereditary and what? But see, now for me though, I'm going to bring back up Get Out. Right. Which to me is like the idea that would be considered like one of the best of the year to me is like a laughable joke. But I know you thought it was great.
Yep.
But I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
But no, this as far as an action movie, last 3 years, better action movie than this.
Best.
I mean, just take Mad Max Fury Road and go to this. And what's like a better pure action movie?
Yeah, that's tough because a lot of action has now been sort of, what would you say? It's sort of fused now with sci-fi. You get a lot of sci-fi action.
Well, yeah,
movies.
And I would say your best bet, if you're going to pick one, is probably one of the superhero movies.
Exactly. I would say like you'd probably go to like Civil War, probably. That's in the last 3 years,
correct.
I think.
Yeah, and like the fucking action scenes in this are like second to none. They're fucking amazing.
They're some of the best. So
God.
This is a definite recommend for us.
Yeah, highly recommend for me. Like I said, I still like Hereditary better. That's my favorite movie this year, but I can see more faults with Hereditary than I can with this.
That's weird because I actually feel like Hereditary has less faults than this one.
Well, there's like though
it's kind of weird. Like, are they really faults? If it's yeah, I guess they are. If you go from amazing to sort of stock, I guess that is kind of a fault. You know, if you start doing a little more cookie cutter shit.
Well, there is a lot of cookie cutter shit in this that's just executed well.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
That's another episode of Bored and Annoyed. So. Where can they find us, Jackson? We're a little rusty here. We got a week off.
Yeah, that's true. They can find us at boredandanoid.com, on Instagram at bored_and_annoyed, Twitter at boredanoid, or Facebook Bored and Annoyed. And comment on Facebook shit, comment wherever you can on any of my Instagram stuff that I post. Comment on the website if you'd like. Yeah. Just keep us posted as to what did you think of Mission Impossible, for instance.
Yeah. I would
and by the way, as a final note, as a send-off, I want to give a shout-out to the Poolside podcast.
Poolside?
Yeah, it's a guy, I hooked up with him on Instagram. I started talking to him a bit. I listened to his show. It's pretty neat. They talk about, like, this just couple dudes talking about, like, music and shit, recommending different music and movies and everything. And, it's a good show. So check them out on I believe, Stitcher or Google, if you want to look those guys up.
Very, very cool. Very cool. So next week we're going to be doing Sorry to Bother You and probably Teen Titans Go. And there was
Christopher Robin.
And Christopher Robin. Yeah, this is going to be a triple threat.
Yeah, hopefully like I get to see all of them.
King Ghidorah. Just that's what it is next podcast.
There you go.
So have a great one, guys.